What is up, everybody? Welcome back. It is Thursday night after a long time off, but we are finally back. Jackson Doc Talk is in the house. We've got an interesting one for you guys tonight. The new tournament directors for the new USA Bassin Jackson Kayak Trail. Let's get ready to kick this thing off.
At Jackson Kayak, our roots run deep in moving water, in rivers. We got our start as a whitewater kayak company. And then the first fishing or dedicated fishing kayak was the Coosa. And the Coosa was designed from the ground up to be a river fishing kayak. And what does that mean? It means that it can go and handle moving water, light whitewater, rapids, tight areas where you need to be maneuverable and need to be able to turn, but also not sacrificing the features that help you get out on the water and catch fish. That line progressed and eventually became the Coosa HD. And the Coosa HD kind of evolved and took it to that next step. It added even more features and deck layout for an angler, but it didn't sacrifice the performance needed to get through moving water and get to those places that other anglers might not be able to get to. And now we launched the Coosa X. And the Coosa X is that evolution, that next step in the Coosa line at Jackson Kayak.
The neat thing about the Coosa X is that this was a team effort from the Jackson Kayak River paddlers, all coming together, giving their input, and having a say in what they'd like to see in this new kayak.
From the concept, being a part of the development team was just incredible because it was a lot of folks with a lot of input that each one of them had specific needs or wants that they would love to have seen in a boat.
We built it for people that want to get in moving water and have all the functionality of a updated and modern fishing kayak.
We've actually kind of gone back to some whitewater, moving water roots. I mean, this thing is nimble. At the same time, it's incredibly stable. I've crawled all over this boat, fore, aft, didn't matter what I was doing, and I never felt like I was going to tip over. Give me a moving water, it wasn't a problem.
The Coosa X is built for the river angler. That angler that wants to get to those areas that are a little bit harder to reach, a little bit harder to get to, where the fish haven't seen as many baits come by. You may have to run through some mild whitewater or get through some moving water or under trees or around rocks and be very maneuverable to get to where that X is, that X that the Coosa marks the spot.
The highlight of this boat being designed by the Jackson Kayak fishing team is that a lot of features that you think that you really want in a boat, well, they're there.
So in 2 strokes, I can do a 180 in this platform, and that's what makes it such a great platform for running moving water.
I feel like it really handles, the fast-moving water really well because you can kind of get into some areas that you wouldn't be able to get into with another boat.
This is not just a boat that's going to be great for people who are really efficient at running rapids. This is going to be a boat that is great for any level of experience. If you want to learn to fish rivers or even small water, this would be great.
Oh, it's a great boat, especially for the Coosa River here. It's just an ultimate river kayak. For river fishing kayak, I'm looking for something that's stable, that's easy to maneuver, in current.
It's awesome. Great seat, very high, a lot of rod storage, ton of deck space, really, really stable. It's got a ton of maneuverability into it. So if you're a fan of the Coosa series, this will be right up your alley. It's been awesome, and it's handled everything we've thrown at it today.
Everybody came together, they put their input in, and what came out of it is an awesome river fishing kayak, the Coosa X.
The Coosa X, a Team JK signature watercraft.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Jackson Kayak Doc Talk. See y'all filing in up there. We've got a full house tonight. Again, it's our USA Bassin Jackson Kayak Trail. Just a handful of our tournament directors that are with us out there doing things on the water and helping build this thing up for us. So we want to invite them on tonight. Let them talk to you guys, tell you a little bit about what they have going on in their area. And we'll start with Jacob Ward. Introduce yourself, kind of tell them where you're from, and talk about some of the events that you're running this season.
Yeah, man, my name's Jacob Ward. I'm from Cherryville, Kansas, which if you don't know where that's at, it's about 10 miles from the state line of Oklahoma. So I'm kind of nestled in the corner down here in Kansas. But I've got 5 different divisions going in Kansas. I've got Perry Lake, El Dorado, Big Hill, Weeknight, and Cedar Creek. So we've got plenty of opportunities for guys and gals down here in Kansas. So I've been doing this for about 5 years, and I'm excited to have, more opportunity for people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And moving over to Rudy.
What's up, everybody? Rudy Yarworth just joined the Jackson Kayak Fishing team this year. Thanks, everybody, for welcoming me aboard. Coordinator for Heroes on the Water, Tangier Sound here on the Eastern Shore, and fishing guide. I'm also the tournament director for 2 events in Maryland. I got the Potomac River from Hancock down to Point of Rocks. Plenty of different water there for all you West Virginia, Maryland anglers who want to come join us. And then we have Conowingo on the infamous Susquehanna River from Holtwood Dam in Pennsylvania down to the Conowingo. That whole reservoir will be open. And the first event will be opening up here soon on 4/15. So hope to catch you all in the water.
Josh Evans says, my neighborhood.
He's got that rig set up for the river, that's for sure.
He does, man. He's got I can't wait for people to see it. Hopefully he'll go public with that thing here in just a short bit, showing everybody else out there in the world what he's done to his new Coosa X. And without further ado, Josh Gilbert, aka Smoky Biscuits, coming to us from my home area here in Indiana. Tell us a little bit about you and what you got going on this season, my friend.
Well, I'm Josh Gilbert. I'm from this little small town, Indiana, Mitchell, and I'm going to run the Patoka Lake Division. Looking forward to it. Something new to do. I don't know how many we got right now. I think the last time I checked, there's about 6 of us. So starting there, you're going to get there. And our first tournament's set to kick off at April 8th. So I'm looking forward to it. Meet some new people and catch some bass.
That's all it's about. It's proper bassing, getting to meet new people and shake some hands. So, and whoever wants to answer these questions can jump in first. Feel free to. And like I told you guys before, if you guys have any questions for each other as tournament directors, feel free to ask. So how much excitement do you guys feel as directors for this new avenue through USA Bassin and what they have to offer this year with the free membership and whatnot, kind of inviting people to come out and fish, for free with the membership and learn to trust USA Bassin, not just saying, hey, we're here to like conquer the world. We're saying like, hey, come out, let us earn your trust out of the gate and see what we have to offer as a trail.
I'll take that. So I'm getting a lot of phone calls right now as people are starting to get close to the first event, and they're very interested. It's nice to have a home body of water that they can, cut their teeth on and get familiar with and compete on. And obviously the free year's membership is great, and I think it's going to take off. I think once we get the first tournament through here, word of mouth's going to get out, and we're going to blow up.
Very cool. And community, I think, is one of the big things that, we kind of talked about here before we chimed in. I know, small tournaments. Jacob, you've really got a lot of tournaments going on in your area. And you run some other tournaments as well.
Yeah.
How do these events, for the novice, the new person that's never or hasn't ever come out and fished an event like this or any others, how do these events help, construct and build a community around kayak fishing?
I think it gives the people who, have always kind of maybe been interested in it and maybe got, their first boat. And especially right now, with it starting out and, maybe not being, 100 people showing up, it kind of gives a comfort level to all these new men and women to come and, ask questions or, figure out how to measure their fish. And, it's not an intimidation factor going to a big national event. They can stay home, travel, 20, 30, minutes, an hour, and, relax and fish and still be able to be in a tournament and fish with other people and learn from them. So I think it just gives a new aspect. There's your local clubs as well, but this gives a way that they can just go fish one lake, earn points. If they want to go fish the national event, the end of it, they can. Yeah, I think it's great. I think it's great for new people.
Very nicely put. Very nicely put. We actually have, before we get into the next question, we've got a question from Stacy Jordan. Will there be universal rules about launching and time to launch, lines in, photo submission, etc.? And whoever wants to field that one, feel more than welcome to jump on that.
Yeah, I know my events, lines in, lines out might be different throughout the year as far as times, but I try to keep it consistent on, 30 minutes before launch. We have like our captain's meeting and things like that. And then 30 minutes after that, we have lines in. And then I give everyone an hour after lines out to kind of get back to a ramp or go find service or whatever they need to do to get those fish submitted. So I know as far as the ones I have going here, I'm trying to keep them all similar.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what everybody else has been doing, but I think we've all been kind of similar.
Yeah, we did the half hour after launch for fishing, for lines in, and for lines it's lines out, and it's 3 o'clock or 2:30 at the end of the day. So, cell phone spotty where you are. I mean, we just have to try to keep it consistent. So if I do an hour, next it's try to just keep it clean. So when lines out, photos have to be uploaded, and then any time to drive back to the ramp because we have pretty broad areas. We're not all coming out the same launch, so it keeps it easier that way. So, and that's consistent for both the Maryland events, and we're going to do our captain's meeting the Friday the night before the event. So that gives people time to make up their minds to sign up. Captain's meeting will start right after sign up closes, so 7 o'clock on Friday. So should be good.
And I think Josh and I are about the same. I'm running the Lake Monroe division, and then Josh is running Patoka here in Indiana. And I think we're giving them about an hour's time to make their way from A to B. Yeah. Which the nice thing about Patoka Lake, if you're from Indiana and you're listening, where you're going to check in the morning at the Painters Creek ramp is really, really the main drag to all the ramps, but really one. On the Jasper side of the lake, but everything else is pretty quickly accessible.
It's pretty centrally located, that's for sure. I think that's why I picked the Painters Creek ramp. It's kind of that happy medium right in the middle for everybody, especially for the guys if they want to come down from the Jasper side. It's more halfway than going somewhere on the north, or just made it medium and picked the middle point, and that's what I went with.
Yeah, and. Okay, so we got another question here, and this goes out to you, Jacob. Yeah. It's what has been the biggest fish submitted in Kansas thus far?
So last weekend we had an event Saturday and Sunday. Both events, first place was 91 inches total, and both big fish were 19 3/4. So they almost kind of copied each other there. But I have a feeling we're going to get some bigger ones throughout the year for sure.
Yeah. Right. That'll be good. I mean, I think one of the biggest ones submitted so far out of the whole trail was Jason posted up the first 20 I know this weekend in the group page. I didn't get a chance to look and see what the actual biggest was thus far, but hats off to you guys out there in Missouri and Kansas that actually went out and got it done this last weekend, because you guys had some weather, didn't you?
Yeah, it was Saturday. It was cold, but really what was kind of made it miserable was the winds. We probably had 25-mile-per-hour winds, and the Big Hill Lake it faces north and south. That wind was blowing out of the north, and so it was really pretty chilly. And then Sunday, the wind wasn't too bad, but I mean, it was 13 degrees when we started. Ended up not being too bad of a day. I think it got up in the 50s, but it definitely was pretty chilly in the morning. It was out of 4 creeks, only one of them wasn't frozen.
Adrian Riley jumps on here and says it was absolutely brutal weather. It sounds cold. Now, Rudy, you're working actually with one of the Jackson Kayak dealers a little bit with your trail. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm talking with Brian from Delaware Paddle Sports. We're going to try to do something for the event. We haven't finalized anything yet, but they're going to help us out. And a local tackle dealer, Tactical Fishing. they're going to help us out too and sponsor us as well.
Right. Now, as far as the end of your guys' events go, award ceremonies, weigh in, whatever you want to call it, measure in for kayak fishing. How are you guys doing that? Are you guys having everybody come in to a central location for that award ceremony, or are you just kind of planning on doing it online? How do you guys go about it?
For me, we meet in the mornings and have a very brief meeting, and then everybody kind of gives me their cash for their entry, and then we go fish, and then we have a time to be back at the same spot. I'm a little bit old school when it comes to some of it. I like the new school stuff like Tourney X and stuff like that, but I like being in person, and I like to have everyone talking afterwards and hanging out, because I feel like that's where, especially the new people, can learn, maybe what I didn't do right, or what I did or didn't, and just that camaraderie between, all the men and women. So I like to meet in person afterwards.
Yep. My plan is to meet at a ramp midway at the end of the day, do the award ceremony, and try to do that on Facebook Live at the same time, and try to do it both in case someone can't stick around or they got to go. That way I could still make sure they get the recognition if they placed or not.
There you go.
That's how I'm going to do mine.
Yep.
They're just going to meet the same place we started in the morning, where we meet up, come back, and go from there, see who the top guys are, and everybody hang out afterwards. Get to know one another.
Major award. Everybody's going to get a leg lamp.
That's right. And a smoky biscuit decal.
A smoky biscuit decal. Melinda Jones, do you all of you have the ladies compete equally against the men, or their separate divisions? So I will field that. So USA Bassin actually does have, in the big boat side of their trail, what's considered co-ed. They have their own classic, the whole 9 yards. For right now, the kayak division, the kayak side of USA Bassin it's just been birthed. This is our first year with it. So with that being said, right now it's an equal playing field. If we see, as this thing grows and prospers, and there's enough interest in it, or a group of ladies wanted to tackle this thing, there very well could be a ladies division of the kayak space, if that was something that was wanted, or as a matter of fact needed. But that would be up to the right person to want to take that on at this time. I just, right now, I think we're in our first year. We're just kind of going with the flow and trying to put everybody on the same playing field.
She knows where to find me too. She lives about 15 minutes from me.
There you go. Another question coming in. Is there a combined effort between state trails to promote USA Bassin via social media? I haven't heard too much about Missouri. The last 2 tournaments had 5 anglers each, possibly due to weather. Just think, is there potentially large gathering effort for promotion? So yes, we do have the USA Bassin Kayak Series group. I don't know for sure if the Missouri side has one of those items up there. But one of the things that we're doing, and it's just like this podcast that we're doing right here on Jackson Kayak, is bringing in the directors to talk about the events. We're hoping to have some of you anglers on here at some point to also help further promote. So we're doing that with Jackson Kayak on the social media side, obviously making some posts here and there about, we're trying to list out the events so you guys can see them at the Jackson Kayak Fishing and Jackson Kayak page. Also, we're trying to put weekly updates via Jason and myself and Will Richardson at Jackson Kayak. We're trying to put in our news blog every week something about the trail. It's like last week we had multiple events, so we had a collaborative news story that we put up in our blog that went shared out on the Facebook pages and that kind of thing, Instagram. Also with that, we have the USA Bassin side where, we'll be sharing some of those news stories on that page as well as their website. So that's kind of some of the advertisement for right now. And then I know Josh has
Facebook.
You have a Facebook group. Jacob, you have a Facebook group. Rudy, do you have one?
I have a Facebook page set up, yes.
Yeah. So everybody's got a Facebook group
for
or
both Maryland
page.
divisions.
Yeah, everybody's got a Facebook group or page set up except for me, and I'm probably just going to piggyback off Josh's or just keep posted in the main page. That way, Indiana's kind of all together in a space right now. But yeah, that's kind of how we're doing it as far as promotion wise right now. And just to kind of fill you guys in, everybody at Jackson Kayak's excited about this. I know some people might be discouraged over 5 people attending an event, but actually, when you look at it and you look at the fundamentals of starting this trail, we're actually more excited that 5 people showed up than we would be if 100 people showed up. And the reason for that is we're building a community through paddle sports. As this thing starts, we want it to really be grassroots. We want those 5 people to get to know each other. We want those 5 people to get to hang out with each other, or 20. But as this thing grows, those core people that are engaged right now that are starting this, that's what's digging into society and creating those roots to really help this community blossom. So that's kind of our thinking with it. Obviously, we want to see it grow. We want to see USA Bassin do well, whether we're here in 5 years with them or not as a sponsor, but we want the roots to be solidified, and that's why we're doing it the way we are doing it. And we hope that everybody enjoys it. If you get to come out and fish, and the free membership thing just makes it even more fun. So let's talk about the free membership just a little bit. Have you guys seen have you guys seen that as a big impact for what's to come?
I think so. I mean, for people wanting to step their foot in the water, I mean, they have no risk factor other than paying an entry payment. I mean, they can literally show up the last term of the year just to try it out, and all they have to pay is the entry fee. And if they like it, the next year when they do have to pay that $30, it's just a simple $30.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to me, that's pretty affordable for just about anyone.
Now, as far as things go, this thing starts on a really local level, and by local level, I mean you just kind of fishing. You're kind of fishing in your state, fishing the lakes that you like to fish. The preface for this is, not everybody has a million vacation days that they can just burn. This is kind of a blue collar system where, if a feller can go out and he can fish close to home and he can earn enough points to go to this national event. How do you guys feel about the national trail, the national closeout at the end? Is that something that you guys are looking forward to? Fishing close to home, and then actually getting to go play in the big water at Kentucky Lake, battle for the NARFD at the end of this thing?
I know.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It'll be great.
Sweet pot out there too, with $5,000 and a NAR.
Yep, $5,000 a NAR, and I do believe, and don't quote me on this because I'm not Jason. I put Jason in charge of this because I've got way too much stuff to do, so I can't keep up with everything I've got and everything that he's giving away at this classic at the end, the JK Classic. I believe Jeff Little is donating a Torpedo as well.
What?
So, yeah.
Wow.
I don't know this 100%, but I believe there's a Torpedo of sorts involved that goes with the grand prize. So that'll be pretty sweet. Another big item, hot ticket item that we're doing through the Orion Cooler side of Jackson Kayak is USA Bassin has what's called the Next Generation. That is youth tournaments. So all these kids get together, they go fish, they have the Next Generation Classic at the end of the year. And one lucky kid gets to win a scholarship, to take and go to school with it. So through Orion Coolers, we're going to be raffling off at each of the big boat championships and probably the kayak championship. We're going to raffle off an Orion Cooler, and the proceeds will go towards the Next Generation Scholarship Fund. So that is something that also we are very, very excited about through USA Bassin and having that opportunity.
Cool.
Let's see. the free membership, Adrian Riley, the free membership got me into it. Already in Jacob's division before I knew about USA Bassin. He says free the first year, so he jumped in. That's awesome to hear, man. Stacy Jordan. Let's see what we got to say here. I appreciate the opportunity. Glad to be part of it. Hey, we're glad you're interested. We're happy to have you. Anybody that wants to come fish, we're happy to have that. So
Chad, I have a question.
And ask what?
So if you have multiple divisions nearby, you could fish them all, right?
Absolutely.
And you only need to get 250 points to go to the national tournament?
Yep, you can get 250 national points, or 250 points takes you to the national tournament. That's all you need in this first year. So that means technically to cure those 250 points, you could fish my division at Lake Monroe. You could fish one of Jacob's divisions or two out in Kansas, make a weekend of it. He could come out and fish your division, Rudy, and Josh's division. And, you know, he's put in 5 tournaments and he's probably got 250 points. So that should give him enough to do the thing. Let's see here. So you've got, just to kind of tell you how the point structure works, you've got each tournament is worth 100 points. If you show up and you fish, I think the lowest you can score is what, 50 points, Jacob?
So for like the weekend series, it's 50 points for the lowest, and then if somebody does the weeknight series, which is a total of 10 tournaments, it's 25 points for if you basically show up in skunk.
Yep. So if you show up in skunk for 5 tournaments, fishing this, you're invited to the national championship this year. And that's, you know, first year as this thing's growing, you know, we may have 100 people, we may have 200 people. We don't know how to play out at the end of the year. Josh Evans, when is the national tournament again? It is going to be in October, and to tell you the weekend,
the 13th and 14th, isn't it?
Yes, it's the 13th and 14th because it is the weekend after my daughter's wedding. So yeah, it is the 13th and 14th, and if there is a inclement weather situation, there will be the holdover final day on Sunday. So if you have bad weather on Friday or Saturday, the final day moves to Sunday. So it's blocked out for the whole weekend on Kentucky Lake. And I believe I don't know if it's Kentucky Lake and Barkley. I think it might just be Kentucky Lake, but when Jason gets in, we'll have him elaborate on that a little bit more for the national championship. But yeah, so we've got some pretty good prizes for the national championship. Like I said, you know, Kentucky Lake Dam Marina, I think, is where everything will be. Well, it won't be where everything is. It's just Kentucky Lake, says Nicole, and she's riding with Jason, so she knows. So I believe right now the weigh-in and the pre-tournament meeting is going to be at one of our Jackson kayak dealers at Kentucky Lake Outdoors down there in Bentonville. That's kind of one of the places we're looking at. And then we're also working with the tourism board, and we'll be up around Kentucky Dam Marina and all that as well. So, you know, anybody that wants to come out and fish it this season, and I think you'll be pleasantly surprised at the national tournament. I think it'll be a good time. So as we move forward into this thing, what do you guys, we think the biggest fish is going to be pulled out from your division this year? I mean, what's kind of the sizes that you typically see in your area, and what do you think it's going to take to win your divisions on an average basis?
I mean, Jeff Little was just heading down south on a video blog a couple weeks ago and caught a 20-inch smallie out of the Potomac, just stopping at the side of the road. So you got 20s there. You know, you talking 100 inches. You know the Susquehanna's going to put up. So,
right.
Question is Josh going to be able to find them or not in that new boat of his?
If not, he's going to spend a lot of time running in between trying to find them. My guess is if Josh Evans can make every one of those, I'm gonna say he could be the trail. He could be the AOY for that division. He could be. Campbell's got a chance too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. What about you, Jacob? What's it take to win out in Kansas on a weekly basis right now?
Well, it kind of depends on our crazy weather. I'd say probably an average of 80 inches. I'd say like on the low side.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say high side probably 95. There could be a good day where somebody can hit 100. I mean, we have some decent sized fish here, but we're nothing like Texas or anything like that. So I'd say like a big fish, probably 22 would be. It could happen. I mean, I think somebody's going to do it this year. It's just who's going to do it.
I would say for Indiana, Josh, we'd probably be about the same as Kansas.
Yeah, I'd like to see it. Yeah, I'd like to see it. I'd like to see out of Patoka, anyways. And I know it might be a long shot, but I'd love to see a 22-inch come out of there.
Yeah.
No, I think it's doable.
I think it's got potential for it. I mean, just a matter of like any other lake, finding those points where they're going to stack up at. But I'd like to see a 22-inch come out of there.
We've had a 22 come out of our strip pits over here, which they're a little bit different than a normal lake, but some of these lakes on the north side of Kansas, and there's some pretty good sized smallmouth and largemouth, so could surprise me.
Very cool. And Josh, you're set to kick off there on the 8th. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Patoka Lake, kind of some of the scenery and kind of what it has to offer as a venue?
It's a beautiful lake, for sure. It's got some good wood structure everywhere. I think it's a benefit with a kayak compared to a boat. There's so much submerged stick-ups with the wood and stuff. It's easy to hit them in a big boat. So you got that advantage, I think, in the kayak. Got some pretty good shoreline too. It's got some little bit of everything really. You got your, you got your wood laydowns. You can have gravel throughout.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, it's got quite a bit, in my opinion, to offer as far as fishing. Just taking the time and finding them.
And the community down there,
it's awesome.
It's a really good place.
Yeah.
I think anybody that comes down to one of your events, there's Patoka Lake Marina, and their crew has really bought up a lot of the places around the lake, and they've got several eateries and different things to help attract people to come to the lake and hang out for the day. So I don't think if you come to Patoka Lake, you should go home hungry.
Right. If you go hungry, it's your own fault. If you go thirsty, it's your own fault. You got a couple of good places to drink a few beers. You can stop and get some wine. Yeah, it's a good place.
And more coming.
Yeah.
And more coming.
Kind of like that. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of like that one little area down there. Kind of almost like going down to Florida, being in a little community. You know, down there you got your bars, you got your restaurants, and it's a cool place.
It is, and it's away from town, and it's just a really good vibe down there. I think a lot of people will enjoy that side of the lake and that venue. So for Monroe, I think when you look at it, it's a different animal. It's not Patoka Lake. You don't have as much. You do have wood stick ups and different things in some certain areas. Not to the vast amounts that you have Patoka Lake. You've got a lot of rock. You've got a lot of hard bottom, different things like that. The fish really set up kind of funny, kind of different. It's just how that lake works. But, there's some big fishes. There's some big fish pulled out of there. I know I think it was 2020. It was around the whole COVID era. We seen probably some of the biggest weights we'd seen in forever come out of that place. It was like 27 to 30 pounds in a week. Yeah. So they're in there. It's just a matter of finding them and getting on them.
I know they had one in the club tournament that I fished with the boat side up there. And I think it was last year, maybe. One of them that they did up there, the tournaments up there. It was some guy, I don't quote me on, but I think he pulled, it was almost 31 pounds.
Yeah.
That was a whopping bag up there.
Yep. It's doable, man. It's just a different venue and a different place to fish. So we're halfway through here. And I want to bring in the national tournament director for this whole deal, one Mr. Jason Cassidy. No bell tonight. So I want to do something a little bit different here. There we go. So the guy talking gets the floor. Somebody's drinking some Moore's Light. Black Dog Brewing Company. Thanks for your support this season.
Good stuff. Good stuff. What's up, Chad? What's up, everybody?
What's up?
Rudy,
Jason.
Jacob. What was it? Limp Biscuit I heard on the way
Smoky
here?
It's Smoky Biscuits.
Smoky biscuits.
Smoky
And that's
Biscuits.
gonna
There's
be
a
on all the
story.
trophies, man. So come on down and get you one.
It's the Smoky Biscuits division at Patoka Lake.
I like
Where's
it.
my
I
banner
like it
at,
a
man?
lot.
Hey,
There's a
that's
story. It was
Chad,
a long
go
weekend.
tell that story.
I'm not telling that story. There's too many other stories that go with it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So Jason, how's things going? How's the trail as you're kicking off this whole thing as the national tournament director? Kind of fill us in on where your head's at for the kickoff to the USA Bassin JK Trail.
It's been busy, man. There's a lot of moving parts when it comes to putting on something this size, with everybody being so spread out. And I mean, there's just, you have different people, that you have different lakes, you've got different entities all, plugging away at the same time. So there's a lot of cogs in the wheel that are constantly getting stuck in different places at different times. So it's definitely it's been challenging, but it's kind of neat to start to see it all, really start to come together. Jacob and Phil and Wade down there in Kentucky, they had their first tournament as well. Those first three states have really, set a pretty good foundation. I heard you guys talking about the numbers earlier on the podcast. You're going to have that. I mean, these early spring tournaments can be, up or down. I mean, on the boat side, kayak side, you're going to have that. And we're the new guy in town, so we fully expect it.
Mm-hmm.
But hats off to those anglers that showed up and showed out. I mean, Jacob had both his tournaments. I think we're 91 inches to win in those conditions. Man, I don't care where you're at in the country. If you looked at the Bassmaster Championship today and you did 91 inches back to back,
you're pretty good.
You might be walking across that stage picking up a big blue trophy. So, I mean, that's good no matter where you're at. So kudos to those guys. And I really look forward to seeing what the rest of the year brings out.
All right, gentlemen, now it's your turn. You can ask Jason any questions you got for him right here on the podcast.
Crap.
Tell him what he did wrong. No.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I'll tell him myself. There's a lot of stuff that we're kind of figuring out as we go on, like these banners I got here behind me. Getting those and out in the mail, it's unbelievable what it costs to ship something. It's like, holy cow, are you kidding me? I'll drive it myself. And then to the winners that have already won, Torquedo has a $250 gift certificate for each of you guys and the future winners. We've also got those gift certificates coming out to each tournament director, along with their cute banners here behind me, which my cousin hooked us up with those. He gave us a silly good deal on them, so appreciate him as well.
For sure.
Now you can tell me what else I did wrong.
No, I think everything's off to a great start. Like I said, we see nothing but the sky's the limit on this thing, and Jacob was really talking, seeing the growth potential as Rudy and Josh of where things can go, and I think everybody's super excited for the national championship. So I'm gonna kind of let you. I tried to halfway talk my way through the national championship, but I'm going to let you kind of dive into that because you have more of the particulars than I do.
Yeah. And just like everything, I mean, that's kind of an ever evolving situation. Different companies are starting to step in and, show interest. Torquedo is definitely going to step in and help add to what's already really good, base package of, 5K and a brand new Jackson NAR kayak. And that's that's before we even had, one line wet this year. So, kudos to Marshall County down there on Kentucky Lake, and Jackson Kayak, of course, for stepping up. And then a lot of good companies that we're working with along the way. My dog wants to kind of come in and
It's all
say
right.
hi.
Dogs are welcome.
Yeah, if you guys come to the championship, you get to meet my dogs because they go with us everywhere we go. So that championship is going to be kind of a culmination of all the hard work these anglers do, literally from, New York and all the way down to Texas. We're all going to come together. We're going to have a good time. Fish for a lot of money, like Chad said, on a big stage. There's a lot of talk about Kentucky Lake going around lately about how it's really on the comeback. And for us, if you're a shallow water guy, that shallow water bite on Kentucky Lake is really, really taken off. It's not just a ledge game like it used to be back in the day. Those carp kind of went through and blew that area out. So fish have to adapt to survive, and they're doing that. And Kentucky Lake is doing the same. It's really making a comeback. Marshall County Tourism Bureau that we mentioned before. The more anglers we get to show up, the more they're going to pay out. So tell your friends, tell your enemies, come fish a USA Bassin event with us this year. You fish 3, 4. If you're good at catching fish, the less you have to fish to qualify. So get out there and fish enough derbies to qualify, and come out, and we'll show you guys a good time out there in Kentucky. Fish for a lot of money.
Absolutely. And do the division winners or the AOYs from each division, what is the reward for that?
We're working on like a side pot. One of the things that USA Bassin does and does really well on the boat side, they've got a like a 2-tier championship, if you will. They've got it used to be like the Aluminum Cup when Ranger was a sponsor back in the day. I know if Kevin's watching, he'll probably shoot me. I believe it might be Phoenix Boats this year, but they had a kind of like a JV level championship where if you hit, like in our case, 250 points, you got to go to that level. If you were, an AOY or you hit 500 points in a national tournament scene, you'd get to go to a little bit higher deal. But we've got a deal going right now where each AOY that qualifies and fishes a championship is going to be playing for a little side pot that's going to be probably somewhere north of $2,500 in cash.
Okay, we've got a comment here from the audience I'm going to throw up here. Most Missouri tournaments have any public access. If the Missouri USA Bassin stays with only the paved ramps, it would eliminate most of the creek and river opportunities.
Right.
How can you elaborate?
Answer that a little bit. So one thing that all tournament directors are doing, and it's going to be a uniform thing. We're trying to even the playing field for everybody. So whether you got a sit inside Dolphin or a new custom Jackson Nar, you won't be able to just slip into some little backwater, off a bridge. Anybody in the kayak scene really kind of sort of, unless you just started yesterday, about all the drama, if you will, that has taken place in terms of launches, legal launches, what's legal. If you drove your truck through a cornfield that Bubba Jones owns, congratulations on not getting shot, but you did trespass on the way to your public access. Just like in Indiana, the area around the lake, it's all public. It's all public water. So technically that's public access, but how did you get to that public access? If you fished a certain championship last year in Kentucky, you could have fished 100 miles away from Kentucky Lake and been in tournament water. Is that really fair? I don't think so. And I think the best way to do it is to, say, okay, here's where you can launch, and you can go as far as you want on this particular water until you get to the riffles, till you get to the rapids of a creek where you're just stuck. So we try to even the playing field. It's not to take away from kayak fishing or anything like that. It's just to even it up as much as possible. And in Missouri, They've got the All American Classic coming up in 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Really big. It's going to draw, a couple hundred boats probably around the Midwest, and they're going to have designated launches, and it's going to be in Missouri. So, I mean, if you guys don't like that kind of thing, it's kind of here to stay. And it's not a USA Bassin thing. We didn't reinvent that wheel. We didn't make that wheel. Hobie, Bassmaster. I mean, it's kind of the industry standard that we're going to. So, it's part of it. We want to make sure the anglers are safe, launching legally, and keeping the playing field as fair as possible.
Yeah, and that, like you said, that's something that really stemmed off from last year's tournaments. Very, very heavily. There was a lot of debate in the off season from all major national trails. Really dove into this, really talked about it, and that's where this particular rule change or set of rules really stemmed from. Was for some of the events that happened in 2022. So that's why you're seeing all these events really steer that way to legal designated launches, concrete ramps, and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Because I'm not sliding my NAR down the side of some bridge, but I could my Coosa X.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a bite that definitely lets me get into some places that the big rig won't get into, and there's a different machine, just like there's a different rod for every application. But where you put that rod is going to be somewhat standardized. So, we're just for like you. Let's see, Chad and cinnamon biscuits.
Smoky biscuits. Come on now, get it right.
I think the Toka has 18 launches or 10 launches. I mean, we don't have a huge giant amount of crazy launches. So for those guys, I mean, any public launch ramp is going to be the rule of thumb, because they're all the same. They're all public DNR type of ramps. Every state, every, lake for that matter is going to be slightly different. And that's what makes this, from our end, a little challenging because we have so many checks and balances, so many different rules that we have to try to cover. Truman and Stockton Lakes in Missouri, Truman especially. I mean, it's those Highland Reservoir lakes, man. They're just like look like a giant dragon or something. They're just crazy how spread out they are for the amount of acreage. So
now,
we want to.
I want to kind of flip this back to Jacob here for a second. Let's put you in the big screen. So now you have strip pit in your division, correct?
Not in my division, just in this group I do.
In that group. Now, do you have any single ramp launches that you guys are doing in the division that you're running?
I don't. Like for example, Big Hill. There's technically only 4 launches. There is 2 concrete ones, which is pretty much where all the boats launch from, and then we have 2 gravel launches, one next to a bridge and one where the creek starts. There's one other spot that technically most people just walk to. That's like a fishing berm. But you could technically launch any kayak from there. So like that lake, the whole lake around it is public access, but it's private land to get to that public access. So I don't allow those guys to go through private land because not everyone is going to have permission to do that. So that's not a fair advantage to everyone.
Right. Now, Rudy, you're on the river for some of your events, Susquehanna and all that. Talk a little bit about time management and making sure that you plan out your floats.
So the Susquehanna event's on the Conowingo Reservoir. So it's actually a slack water section.
Okay.
Between 2 dams. The upper part of it, you can paddle up to some rapids and boulders and stuff below the Holtwood Dam. The rest of it's you pretty much move around by pedal, or if you got a Torquedo, you can take it easy and roll around the whole lake. I do have a list of ramps. There's about 6 or 7 public ramps on there that I share on a Google Maps link and an image on the share drive on the Torquedo app. And then the difference would be for the Potomac is it's more of a river. There's two slackwater sections. You got big slackwater above Dam 4, and then you got Four Locks area above Dam 5. So if you want to fish the slackwater, you're good to go. There's a couple slow moving river sections, and then you get down around where Harper's Ferry is. You go from a slackwater, a slower moving river, into some light rapids, a little heavier rapids depending on the rain. But that's probably going to be where some of the bigger smallmouth are going to be. So I did put a couple of rule adjustments in there to allow people to portage around like a hazardous rapid or something like that, because I don't want to go through a class 5 rapid that they didn't know was there because they didn't plan. But other than that, they have to stay in their boat the whole time. But as long as they put in and take out of a public ramp, make sure they check in and check out through Torney X, then we should be good. If they want to drift a river like you would do on the Susquehanna up around Harrisburg, they'll be good to go doing that. So it's a lot of variety of water on the Potomac for them. And then right there at Harper's Ferry, the Shenandoah dumps in there. So got two great rivers coming together. I mean, who wouldn't want to fish that little stretch?
And I think anybody that wants to take this, the Tourney X check in, check out is going to be hugely important to remember for your events, correct?
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, and for folks watching this,
folks at home,
that check in and check out feature on Tourney X, for whatever reason, there's always somebody that's like, oh, I don't want them knowing, where my secret honey hole. It's for safety, 100%. We want to make sure that it's not. We don't really care where you go in. No one's like, oh, well, wonder where he went. Is he catching fish? We want to know where you went in, so we know that
nobody's going to share your spots.
No,
Yeah,
they don't.
It's not public. We don't post that on Facebook.
No.
Say, hey, look where Jason checked in at. He's up here today.
Only the judge can see that, anyways. So,
right,
as a good, responsible tournament director and judge, that information should stay in your brain and your brain only. No one should know that information.
And some directors are actually having others judge their fish just to avoid said conflict.
Yeah. All of our directors have the option to fish, and we encourage that. We're all anglers on this, TV or podcast right now, and all of our directors are anglers and have a true passion for the sport. It's why they're doing what they're doing. They're not doing it to get rich, that's for sure. So we encourage them to fish, and if they're going to fish, I want the other anglers to know that they're going to have, someone on the outside, helping judge their fish. So it's not like, I'm going to let that little crack in the mouth slide on this one and not give myself a penalty. Stuff like that's not going to happen. We want it to be on the up and up as much as humanly possible. And so they'll have that at their disposal. So they don't have to, they don't have to worry about doing it. They can actually have some fun and enjoy the time on the water.
Yeah. And a big thing for the national championship to know is nobody fishing the event will be judging the photos. So the judges for the national championship will be set up in some cabin somewhere, drinking Mai Tais, checking fishes. I keep saying fishes tonight. What the heck, man? It's like I'm a third grader.
Just know the rulings on the fish could get a little easier as the tournament progresses.
Yes, especially if I'm the judge by then. So, with that being said, catchboard. Catchboard's important. If you're somebody new that's listening tonight, do know that you should get with Catch Products and get you a nice catchboard. You don't have to buy the big aluminum one. You can get one of the plastic cheaper ones. Those are going to be mandatory. And are you guys, any of you doing? I'll be doing board checks at Lake Monroe before we take off. How about the rest of you? Are you doing any board checks before we go?
I'll do one down for Toka.
I have not. I think a safe way for me to check, which I should start checking in the mornings, but when they put their fish on the leaderboard.
Mhm.
If it's not a catch board, it's going to get denied. So
Right on.
I might have them send me a photograph of their board just to make sure we're on page.
Mm-hmm.
I did both my first tournaments. I made sure they brought their USA Bassin card so I could verify that they were a member of USA Bassin. I did do that for the events.
And when you do become a member of USA Bassin, you will get a little card. Those numbers on those cards are very important to make sure that you get your points. I don't have one here handy. But those little cards have got everything that you need to make sure that you get your points for the national championship. So please, please, please make sure you bring this card to the check-in, present it to your tournament director so he can write it down and get your points.
I have a question for Jason.
Ask him. I can't wait to hear it.
So each division has AOI points, correct?
Yes.
Are we doing a national AOI list? Because like me, I plan on fishing all of them myself, and I have 30 events.
You're disqualified.
So, just saying.
You're disqualified.
Yes. So just much like on the boat side of it, if you go to usabassin.com, you can look. There's a section on the main page, and it has the teams listed there. And some of these guys, I mean, they get upwards. And Chad, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but like 23, 24, 2,500 points. I mean, they get up there in these points because they fish a lot of derbies. And in Indiana alone, they've got a lot of options. I mean, on the boat side, I think there's 50, 60 tournaments probably in Indiana alone. So, yeah, you can definitely fish a lot of tournaments. So we will have a national AOI points list, which, Jake, if you're going to end up fishing, all your derbies, you might run away.
Congratulations.
I can follow someone right now.
Just give him the trophy.
Yeah. Start. Hey, if you haven't seen Jacob's trophies, you need to go to our Facebook page and look at some of these winners that are holding up these trophies. Him and he can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe his brother-in-law make these trophies, and they're gorgeous. I mean, they've come out really good. Phil has made some super good trophies in the Missouri area. I mean, these guys are really taking care of these anglers out there. I mean, there's no stipulation that said, hey, we need you guys to make trophies, and we're not taking out a bunch of loans to make a bunch of trophies. And these guys are dipping into their own time, their own pocketbooks, and making these trophies for these anglers that you don't get on a local level anywhere else like it. I really hats off to those guys for doing that. But yeah, short question or long answer to a short question. There will be a national AOI list, and we will take each individual division's AOI, put them in a pool when they fish that championship, that JK Classic on Kentucky Lake, and they will be playing for little side money. So it could be a really good day for somebody if they win that AOI side pot, win a new boat, I mean, motors and cash, 15 grand, easy, 20.
Yeah.
So that angler of the year goes by division, right? So for Maryland, we'll have two.
Correct.
A Potomac and a Conowingo.
That is correct. Yeah, it won't be by state. A lot of people think it's by state, but the way USA Bassin is set up, it is, at least this year, it is currently set up as each division is an AOI. Yeah, I mean, look at that trophy, man. I mean, that's a really ugly person in that photo, and that trophy look really good.
I'm telling Daniel.
No, man, he killed it, man.
Yep.
Yeah, that's an impressive piece of work there. That's all hand cut?
Yeah, that's all done by hand.
That's what's up, man. That's very impressive.
Here's our big bass.
Yeah, who got that?
I have one of these, and then Daniel has one of these as well.
Heck yeah,
they're sharp, man. You guys did a great job on those.
Very cool.
They came out nice. Oh, back to the comment section. Jacob's trophies are awesome. There you go, right there. your boys are in the house tonight, man. They're repping hard for you.
Oh yeah, appreciate it, guys.
So yeah, with that being said, I think Jason, if you've got anything else that you want to add here before we kind of start to wrap this thing up, we're at the 1 hour mark, so I'll kind of let you wrap. Wiki.
Oh, we got a gas station video going to break out, Chad. But no, real quick, thank you to everybody that's on here, because you guys are really what makes this whole thing work. And to all of our tournament directors across the country, we appreciate you guys so much. If there's ever anything, please ask me. I don't have all the answers. Jacob has been doing a great job so far. And he's a wealth of knowledge. So, reach out to each other. And for anglers out there that are wanting to, get signed up, go to usabassin.com. There's a really easy form you fill out. You may think you're going to have to pay, but you don't end up having to pay anything if it's your first year. Hopefully we can, provide a service for you at, zero charge, get you a really good return on investment. We've got tournaments kicking off in Texas, I believe in the Dallas-Fort Worth area this weekend. So, super excited to see what they can pull out down there in Texas. I heard some talks of big fish earlier. I think that's definitely in jeopardy going on down there in Texas region. And we spoke earlier about the All-American Classic.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be in Missouri the week before that tournament. I know there's a couple hundred of you out there that will be there. That is the first weekend of practice, and we have a Lake Truman Division tournament that Sunday of the opening weekend of practice the week before that tournament. So it's a really good chance to get out there. You're going to be out there fishing anyway. You might as well take home some extra money and go ahead and get you 100 of those AOI points to qualify for the big JK Classic on Kentucky Lake. But any questions? Facebook, USA Bassin Kayak page. You can find us on, usabassin.com. You can message me, Jason Cassidy Fishing, and anywhere, and we'll definitely get you hooked up, taken care of. $65 goes a long way, man. Have a lot of fun. Meet some new people. Do it.
One last question for Jacob before we go. Any chance next year there will be more weekend events on Big Hill or El Dorado? I believe there's 5 now, but I'd like to see 10 or more.
Technically Big Hill has a weeknight series, and there's 10 more events to that. I know, like 3 hours long. So El Dorado, I live too far away to do a weekend series for there. So I try to do as many as I can, though. I want to do more. I just don't have enough time.
You got champions blood, man. We're gonna start calling you Marathon Man. Maybe your new nickname. So with that being said, guys, we appreciate you watching. Check us out, jacksonkayak.com. Grab yourself an Orion cooler. Grab yourself a brand new kayak. Check out some of our brand new accessories that we've got going on right now at jacksonkayak.com. They are definitely cool. Shout out to Z Pro Lithium Batteries for helping us out here on the Orion podcast, the Jackson Kayak Dock Talk. We appreciate you guys. And of course, our buddy Chris at Basco for hooking us up with some sweet shirts this year. Check him out at basco.com, bascofishing.com. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much it for tonight. Check if you missed this episode and you want to listen to the rest. Check us out on Spotify, Google Podcast, wherever you find podcasts, with the exception of Apple, because me and Zach can't figure out Apple. So we're working on it a year later. But anyway, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys on the next one. I think the next one we might have to get the first tournament winner to come on here and talk about that. So with that being said, we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.